Good evening.
Everywhere I go on this island, it seems to me I find degeneracy.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. See, it's a lot scarier when there's no motive, Sid.
We have a bargain.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
You feel the pain. Always the pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes.
His entire work consists of violence, all the time, obsessed with the issue of violence. Mayhem, gouging out of eyes, autopsies on the stage.
Come. It is time to keep your appointment.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to episode 204 of Double Feature Horror Show, in which we are covering Rosemary's Baby and rounding off Polanski horror season. I hope you are well. I am not. You may record this was going to be a Saturday stream, but what can I say? Delivery was delayed, as may be appropriate. Yes, Little Horror Show brought something back from nursery, and it has been working its way around the house, and so we couldn't do a Saturday stream because we couldn't stop coughing. We're just about hanging in there tonight. I am hoping that we are going to be joined by Waifu soon, but Little Horror Show is still settling. But hopefully Waifu will be with us, and because Waifu is on, I will just say that is why we don't have Murgoot and TCG around. Unfortunately, it's my very boomer setup means that if we need to have two people on this computer, we're not going to share audio. So that is why it is currently just me, soon to be me, and Waifu. And don't worry, whatever I've picked up is, I hope, non-transferable via the stream. Yes, Murgoot, indeed, kindergarten crowd, absolutely. Oh, relentless. What can I say? But do go and give regular co-host Murgoot and TCG a follow. In fact, TCG has been a busy little chap. He's got his own thing out. He has done a video on Nottingham's first serial killer, Mark Martin. So you can check that out after this. And I will post a link there for you. You can find it on his channel, which is linked in the description. But, there's your video. Pop it on the watch later. Give it a watch. It's great when TCG is making videos again. I want to say hi to everyone I'm seeing in the chat. Hello, Lawrence. Hello, Byron. Hello, Maverick. Very good to see you. Dr. Prepper. Who else is in? Distant Night. Very good to see you. I also want to say thank you to everyone who voted on the Halloween streams. They are decided. They are set. Guests are lined up. Hello there, Brent. Guests are lined up and we are good to go. And I want to personally thank channel members for keeping it classy with the suggestions and the voting. I think you were surprisingly respectful. So it's not going to be as schlocky a Halloween as it could have been, but we've got some beauties coming up, some absolutely wonderful films that are going to be in the Halloween specials. So that is a delight. If you would like to help the channel, you can do so by becoming a member, and then you too will get to vote on things. You'll get a film of your choice covered, and you'll get to vote on the monthly arcs, which is, I like to feel, my way of giving back. And of course, there is all the exclusive content that you get. Well, Fez, unfortunately, no one nominated Sarlo. If you had got in there as a member, you could have put Sarlo in. I mean, heck, I allowed Battlefield Earth to be in the running. I'm not going to say no to Sarlo. I'm going to have to face that one day, aren't I? There's only so long I can dodge that film. I know it. Anyway, hello, Fez. Hello, John Goris. Good to see you. Going to take a little bit of water to sort of make sure we can pace this out so the voice doesn't entirely die over the course of this. Oh, and what else? Yes, it doesn't just have to be channel membership, although that is my favourite way, because then I can give a little bit back to you. You can also just do a good old-fashioned super chat. So there's that, or membership either here or on Subscribestar. There we go. Right, I will just get into this. I don't want to keep us lingering so long because there's a lot that we can cover. I'm also very aware that this is going to be cursory. There is no way this cannot be cursory because Rosemary's Baby has got a heck of a lot to it. It's definitely one of those films going on the list as it needs a specialized topic video because there is some very deep stuff in there. We can look at the sort of prophetic angles of it. We could look very, very deeply at the influences on later films. I mean, particularly folks who did their rewatches or their first watches. When you were watching this film, were you getting the word hereditary screamed at you? Because, oh my goodness, on this watch through, I couldn't stop seeing hereditary absolutely all over this movie. Where's my screen cap for that? I've got a nice stomach churning one for you. Here we go. Are you telling me that Ari Aster, who can't get through a single movie without a bunch of naked old people, are you telling me he did not watch this film and love it? Yeah, there we go. It's got to have happened. It's got to have happened. There's also the thing I'm particularly feeling a need to watch, to review in some detail, is a little bit of not quite fin de siècle, but something throughout this film is a definite sort of end of an era, a death of an identity, a death of I guess a sort of cultural certainty that is threaded throughout this movie in a way very similar to Philip Kaufman's Invasion of the Body Snatchers in 1978. 1978? Yes. That is throughout there. This idea that the mainstream culture, the cultural certainties, the identity of America, of what it was and what it centered itself on, what it knew itself to be and who it knew itself to be, that is gone. And something else is in the place. And that is throughout this movie in a wonderful way. That could be deeply examined. So I just want to say, I know I'm going to be cursory with this, but I hope it is satisfying. Oh, TCG is 100% right. Yes. Also like the stream. I always forget that. Always forget it. Yes. Do like the stream. Very much appreciated. And I also gather that in this latest YouTube algorithm update, comments are particularly welcomed. And I do believe a certain little horror show must be safely asleep.
Finally.
Welcome, waifu.
Let me move some furniture around so I can join you.
Let's work out how we're going to do this. Shall I shift over?
Okay, as long as you pass them.
I think we can make this happen.
Yeah.
How would you like some water for
Cheers.
your ragged throat?
This stream is feeling extremely cursed.
Just
I'm
a bit.
recovering from sinusitis. The nights you think that your baby will go down like a light is the night that she decides she wants to spend 45 minutes discussing cows, the location of eyes, sticking her fingers up my nose.
Oh, can I? It just.
I'd rather you didn't.
Oh, no. Oh, okay, right. Maybe later.
So if I sound like I'm chewing on a cough sweet, I can only apologise. Because I am. And if the baby wakes up, then just shoot me, frankly.
Could happen. I can imagine you're just in the middle of a really deep point and you finally found the words, and then that kicks off.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, bless you.
Our little horror show has an unerring instinct for waking up in the last minute of a film or TV series. So,
Smile too.
Smile too. Yeah, literally the last 90 seconds she woke up. So all the tension and drama of that sort of the climax of the film was killed. Did it with Breaking Bad as well, literally a minute before the end.
And that's the entire Breaking Bad. It was
yeah.
series finale time.
Such a kind of emotional peak, and you're just like, wow, this is... Oh, never mind. So,
she's got a knack. What can I say? She has got a knack.
She has a knack.
I hope we still catch him. Lawrence, if you are still around, I just want to thank you for sending in Super Chat, kicking it off, sending in £2 and saying 2 of them. What is this? DFHS or Loose Women? Or Whammon Hour. Are there any Whammon Hour appreciators around who remember that? I gather, is it still going? It was relaunched.
I think it switched over to Birdie's channel.
Oh, well, I hope it is still going. It's very pleasant.
Very wholesome.
I'm regretting this. When I shorten it to Double Feature Horror Show to DFHS, I just think it's sofas. You know?
You are just you just come across as a natural sofa saleswoman.
It's gotta be that. Gotta be that. Yeah.
Can everyone hear me okay, by the way?
Oh, yes, chat
shout
audio. Up. Thank you very much, Lawrence. I would have also accepted 2 of them. This is getting out of hand, etc. Sorry. Oh, good. We've got people who member.
Excellent.
Good Poe appreciators in here.
Who doesn't appreciate Poe?
Yes. All right. So, kicking us off. Obviously, I'm sure you're ready to go straight into the pint of Guinness summary.
Yes.
Oh, actually? All right, rocket.
Okay.
Give us a pint of Guinness summary for anyone who did not actually watch this. And since it's only us, should we just go full screen here? We can.
Yeah, we might as well.
There you go. I'll spoil you.
Excellent. So, the film, and you'll have to correct me on some details, but the film opens with a young couple looking around a flat in a sort of New York apartment building, and they're both rather blown away. They think it's a bit lovely. The chap showing them around was very familiar to both of us. We couldn't place him at all. Looks like you might have placed him, so we'll get to that in a second. Either way, he's a bit shady on some of the details about the flat. They notice, for example, that a cupboard has been walled up where there used to be. That's quite the face.
I had to get that screen cap once I had it. It was perfect.
Nice.
Chap looks like Stelios as well.
So apartment, sorry, because it's New York. So they're looking around. They decide to buy it. This young couple, they move in. And then the young woman, played by Mia Farrow, Rosemary, of the title, is sort of at home alone a lot while her husband, who's a budding actor, an aspiring actor, is out chasing auditions and trying to get roles. He's mainly known for 1 or 2 fairly crap adverts. So he's, really hungry for success and leaving her alone a lot. She goes to do some laundry, connects with meets another girl who lives in the same building, and they chat and they get friendly. And this girl tells her that she's living with an elderly couple who basically picked her up off the streets. She has no one else in the world except her brother. And shares some details like some unusual jewelry she has. Literally the next night, she's found dead on the pavement outside, having fallen, there we go, splashed the claret everywhere. And that extremely stylishly dressed woman is the old lady in question, one half of the couple who'd taken this woman in. And so Rosemary feels sorry for them and so starts talking to them. And that invites a kind of familiarity with their neighbours. And at first, Rosemary's the one pushing them to, go over for dinner and try and be sociable. And her husband is like, no, I just want to stay home with you. But Rosemary, trying to be polite, kind of pushes the acquaintance. And it's something she later lives to regret. So from the kind of perspective of the film, what we see is this sort of friendship grows, and eventually she feels like her husband wants to spend more time with this couple than just the 2 of them alone. But he decides that it's time for them to try for a baby, which is the one thing she desperately wants. This is a very big pint of Guinness. Am I being too much detail?
Oh, you're okay.
Okay. So they decide to try for a baby, which is, everything that Rosemary wants to kind of fulfill her life. Very based, very wholesome. The scene in which they go down that route, first of all, deserted. They're having dinner in their flat, a nice romantic dinner, and suddenly there's a knock at the door, and the husband goes to the door and collects 2 little bowls of a special chocolate pudding that their next door neighbour has made. And he's quite insistent that Rosemary should eat it. She doesn't eat it all because it's got a weird chalky aftertaste. There then follows quite a disturbing scene, which is very, very Polanskian. And there's a lot we could get into in terms of his understanding of the victim mindset. Because Rosemary can't tell if she's hallucinating or if it's actually happening. The audience can't tell if it's hallucination or not, but she is violated by the devil. But she gets pregnant, and then the rest of the film is kind of following the continuation of her pregnancy and sort of this growing unease and this growing sense that something is wrong. She's getting lots of support from a doctor recommended by her neighbour. I can't remember his name. I think it ends in
Saperstein.
It ends in Steen. Thank you, Saperstein. And he, instead of prescribing her, the vitamin pills and things that the conventional doctor that she'd spoken to had recommended, he says that her neighbour will make her homemade drinks from the herbs she grows herself. Again, very based, very free birth pilled. We love it. But Rosemary's in a lot of pain for the first part of her pregnancy, and that's the sort of driving part of some of the film, is that she's losing weight. She's extremely unwell, and her husband is incredibly dismissive of it. Everyone around her is sort of dismissive. Oh, keep drinking these drinks, And they sort of gaslight her and sort of say, oh no, you're looking wonderful, you're looking wonderful. And then anyone who actually knows her from outside this apartment block is appalled by how unwell she looks. Again, I feel like I'm going into too much detail. Basically, she gets sicker and sicker and sicker, eventually goes, I've had enough of these vitamin drinks, I'm going to try and kind of go my own way. I'm starting to be concerned about what's happening here. And starts to feel a lot better. But is skeptical of and suspicious of the influence of her neighbours on her life and on her husband's life. Eventually, thanks to Scrabble and books, dangerous things, books women shouldn't be allowed to read, she comes
What's
to
the one thing Dr. Saperstein says? No books.
Yeah, right from the start, he says, don't go reading any books while you're pregnant. Fair point. But she discovers or decides or comes to the realization that her neighbours are Satanists and that they've conducted some kind of ritual and that the pregnancy is something they're controlling and they're managing for their own ends. And her husband, she suspects, might be in on it. And so the climax of the film is this very kind of tense, claustrophobic, frightening few minutes in which she's trying to get help and she keeps thinking that she's going to people who can help her and gradually realizing just how deep the rot goes and how much of a kind of conspiracy these people who are sort of in all levels of society really kind of have on her life and how much they've controlled her life and kind of controlled everything from behind the scenes. And that her baby who's just been born is the Antichrist. Again, as I say, I feel like that's thanks. I've just seen the Right Honourable Fez's comment.
Oh, thanks.
This is a family-friendly stream.
Very family-friendly.
Deeply disappointed. What a line. So, yeah, she clearly took a lot of Tylenol during the pregnancy and it turned him into the Antichrist. But it's, yeah, I think the sort of the realization of what's happened, it's quite clearly telegraphed. It's not really a twist ending, to be honest. But I think the film is a lot more interesting because of what we see of Rosemary's psychological state and her uncertainty and her fear and her the sort of the gaslighting that's going on and the manipulation and the coercive control and all of those sorts of buzzwords that are happening to her, and how she's just trying to establish what's the solid ground, what's the reality in which she lives. And it's awkward that the reality in which she lives is one in which Satanists have made her pregnant, because that's quite a hard one to tell the police. So yeah, that's the plot of Rosemary's Baby. And you've got your 10 pints of Guinness ready to go.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
I poured a keg.
You need it for this. I was telling chat that basically this is going to have to be cursory because there are so many rich elements that you could genuinely do an hour stream on each topic. It's deep. It is very deep. So I suppose what is a nice point to ask is what stood out to you from this, I believe, second watch for you?
Yeah, it's the second time I've watched it because as a point of principle until a few years ago, I did not watch anything by Roman Polanski. I'm still uncomfortable with watching anything by Polanski. Because of sorry to drag the stream down, but I think the thing that's most unpleasant about Polanski films is his extremely detailed insight into the experience of a victim of violation, let's put it. Let's hope that's YouTube friendly. Which is quite unpleasant to watch when you know anything at all about the man. But it's a really good film. So I'm getting that one out the way to start with because of who I am as a person. I've watched it twice. So the first time was before I got pregnant. And then obviously the second time was this week, having been pregnant with a baby sleeping in the other room. And I think the thing that struck me was the experience of being pregnant is captured relatively well. Not the physical experience. We discussed her lack of pregnant waddle in depth because she is far too agile for a 9-month pregnant woman at the end. Running in heels is difficult enough, but then if you're that heavily pregnant, no. So that isn't realistic. But the mindset shift, that kind of, there's a huge, I think we were talking a lot about sort of the difference in Guy's attitude to everything and Rosemary's. And some of that's partly possibly to do with the time, that maybe fathers were typically a little bit more detached from parenthood, but I don't think that's universally the case. I think that's quite dismissive of the role of fathers in children's lives. So that's a whole other tangent. But Guy is uniquely self-centered.
Oh, wonderfully so.
Horrifically self-centered. And his whole, he says something to Rosemary at the end of, they promised me you wouldn't be harmed. And I just, it shows such an ignorance of the experience of carrying a child. And thankfully, as the audience, you're meant to find his attitude there horrific, thankfully. But it just really struck me this that she was a mother for 9 months before the baby entered the world. And I think we've talked before about how if you're the pregnant partner, your sort of experience of being a mother starts, from day one. Whereas if you're the other parent or the father,
you are on the outside.
Yeah. And you're kind of there and you're helping and you're very supportive and you can occasionally get sort of kicked by the baby. But it's still kind of hypothetical until the baby is born and then, surprise, you're a parent now. It's a much more kind of black and white experience. Whereas if you're pregnant, it's much more conscious. And I was really struck by the scene when she's taken the pregnancy test and had it confirmed. I think I can't remember whether it's before or after she's seen Dr. Saperstein. But she just sort of lies back in bed and just goes, I'm pregnant. And I remember that feeling. I had it in a secondhand bookshop. I was already like 20 weeks pregnant at this point, so I was a bit late in the day. But I remember just sort of looking in the mirror and going, oh, yeah, I really am pregnant. That's a thing. That's happening. That's real.
That particular scene, I think we were both really struck by it in like a little detail where she immediately starts cementing dates in her head. And it's like you can see her reorientating her entire life. And suddenly it's like this date, June
28th.
June 28th, 1969. And it's this gleam in her eye as she sees her whole life gain a new focus. A new purpose, a new focus. She's lit up with life at that point. And you could have skipped it. A lot of directors would have. But we know Polanski is not in a hurry.
Oh no, take his time.
Yes. This may be one of the few ones where I'd say I wouldn't cut 15 minutes out, but he lets that moment breathe, and I think it was so relatable. He got it.
Yeah, I mean, there's the complexity with Polanski as well in terms of his own real life experience. That while he was doing the publicity for him in Rosemary's Baby?
Yes. So I've never been sure how to deal with this, and it's affected every time we've discussed his horror, and that is because I think the problematic aspects of Polanski, and forgive me, I don't know if anyone will listen to everyone we do, so I'm going to cover it again. The narrative I typically got of Polanski was that he was a regular dude whose life was turned upside down after his wife Sharon Tate was murdered when pregnant, and that gave him a bit of a breakdown that caused him to make an incredibly awful criminal choice in 1977. But the director's own statements, his own words in his autobiography, and choices we see in recurring themes throughout his movies have made it very clear that actually his interest in maybe children is harsh, but certainly underage girls is a universal for him. This is, from his own words, as I understand them, it's a bit of a constant, which is why this came up when we covered Repulsion, which had themes of abuse of children in it. It certainly came up in The Tenant, which was, post the murder. And it has to come up here because this is borderline prophetic in the most uncomfortable way. We have a pregnant woman in danger, endangered by her husband's role in Hollywood. We have the drugging and violation of a woman. It's grim, tying into the loss of his wife and his crimes in 1977
and the murder of his unborn child.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We've got the nominal death of a child here. It's absolutely grim. There's no way we can avoid it. It is weird, unsettling that it's so tied into events that would happen later.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to go all death of the artist and this is irrelevant, but there's just such an uncomfortable juxtaposition that, as I understand it, while he was doing the promotion for Rosemary's Baby was when Sharon Tate was murdered.
I believe it was post-work or some promotion abroad. I'm not certain. It was so the movie was completed in 1968, but he was working. The murders happened in 1969, but I think it was follow-on work. I'm not certain if it was for a different film, but it is so closely aligned.
Yeah.
And Sharon Tate is actually in the movie as an uncredited party guest.
Oof.
Yep.
Well, that's uncomfortable. Yeah. Difficult to know where to go with that one. I can see why, true crime podcasters always get to a point where well, I'm sorry to have bummed you all out. It's hard to go back to lighthearted film analysis. But I think, how did we get on to...
you were struck by, I think, the experience having been pregnant, and this is the main reason why we don't have our co-host tonight. Is I thought it was absolutely imperative that we have someone who had been pregnant on. I actually spoke to good friend of the channel, IRL and online Poselaw, who has really racked up XP in that area. I asked her for her thoughts on Rosemary's Baby, if you don't mind me just getting that.
Yeah, no, great.
Because she had some thoughts. I should have saved it up, but here we go. Do you want to just go with this?
Yeah, shall I read it out?
You read it out. That'll be fab.
So Poe said, "We watched Rosemary's Baby. What a good film. This time around, I was impressed by how modern it feels. A young woman getting aggressively gaslit and violated by proxy by her white husband is a very 2020s plotting. But the satanic God is dead element is an interesting twist on it. I like the dream sequence where her mind interprets things that she is hearing in incongruous ways. Probably my favourite and most realistic representation of dreaming in a film. This time around, watching it as a mother, I recognised how the plot sort of follows the trajectory of a pregnancy. The couple are completely smitten and besotted with each other to begin with. First trimester drags on and gets increasingly painful, being confused about symptoms and not knowing whose advice to trust. Then feeling really relieved and excited again when you hit your stride in the second trimester. Then becoming anxious and uncomfortable in the third trimester, and increasingly so, all building up to a frenetic, terrifying birth. I felt so bad for Rosemary, not because she's being stalked by a spooky boogeyman like in a normal horror film, but because she's anxious and in pain and she just wants her baby to be safe. A bit like the mum in The Exorcist. And she's so pretty and sincere. Her third trimester waddle was unconvincing, true, but gold star for effort.
That's very generous, I would say. Oh, yeah.
I was a bit more grumpy.
Unprompted, you pointed that out with her, like, no, she would not be running around at that pace. She would not be jumping at that pace.
Like my 30-minute period diatribe in your review of The Craft Legacy, I'm here for accurate representations of the female experience. I noticed that the Castevets never... So going back to Poe's review, I noticed that the Castevets never become scary or creepy. They behave like nice, slightly overbearing neighbours from start to finish. Ruth Gordon is the real star of the film. And then a couple of other questions, like, was this role written for Audrey Hepburn? Mia Farrow is great, but she's very Hepburn-like, especially with the very short hair.
I can get in on that. Many actresses were tried for this. I don't believe Audrey Hepburn was. Polanski did want Sharon Tate to have the central role, but couldn't convince the studios on that one.
Oh, that would have been even worse.
Even worse, yes.
And then some further questions from Poe, which I love the tone. Why did she not foresee that the doctor would think she was insane? Fairly retarded, considering she was built up as quite a perceptive, intelligent person. Why did Guy start wearing pyjamas if he didn't have the marks? Just to be comfy? It's a valid point. How did the Castevets convince Guy to help them? Did they convert him to the Church of Satan, or was he just ruthlessly self-serving? So I think, actually, that's a good point.
These are some really good kick-off points.
Yeah.
Should we go through Poe's questions?
Yes.
And again, thank you, Poe. Wish we could have you on stream. This is one I have wanted to cover with you for quite a while. Unfortunately,
Babies.
Baby's gonna baby. So mega thanks for sending in those thoughts. So we talked about Audrey Hepburn and the casting briefly. Yes, many others considered. I'm not sure if Audrey Hepburn in particular. So why did she not foresee that the doctor would think she was insane? I think at that point she was so ungrounded, absolutely desperate. I mean, yeah, the ability to have that theory of mind in the sense that she should be able to think of what the doctor is thinking is just not there for her at that point. But yes, she was stressed, she was panicking, she was really so controlled that
I think she was also going back, sorry to interrupt,
please.
But I think she was also going back to the sort of last person. So she has an older friend, a chap called Hutch, who is the person who points her in the direction of the Satanists. So he knows the history of the building they live in and goes, oh, it's got quite a dark reputation. It's got quite a supernatural reputation. Some covens of witches have lived there over the years. He goes away because he's concerned by some of the things Rosemary said in this scene, actually. He, having met her neighbours and talked to her about what's going on, he's increasingly concerned. So he goes away and he finds a book that he wants to get to her. And he calls her up and says, I want to meet you. Can you meet me? There's some things I want to talk to you about in person. And the Satanists conspire to have him first supernaturally put in a coma, and then months later he dies. But he manages to get a book to Rosemary via a friend of his, and that's the book that reveals that her neighbours are Satanists. But yes, to go back to the doctor, I think Hutch made her feel safe. He was a very fatherly figure. And I think the first doctor she saw, Dr. Hill, I believe, noticeably different origin of the name there.
we are going to have to get into that as well.
Oh boy, howdy are we? Yeah, I think the Dr. Hill was possibly the only other person with whom she felt she could have a normal, sort of, possibly saw him as a bit of a father figure, although he's a bit younger, but also the last person who kind of treated her pregnancy normally and appropriately, who was also a medical figure and an authority figure. You know, she's seeking authority, she's seeking protection. If Hutch had been alive, you know darn well she'd have gone to Hutch. He's not, so she's turning to the next best person she can think of. She's desperate for advice. And she realises that Saperstein has been in on it from the start. So suddenly, you know, this sort of kindly fatherly figure with his little half-moon specs is suddenly a very sinister, controlling figure. So I think she's looking for security. She's looking for someone she believes will listen to her. She was reassured by that doctor's presence in their first meeting, because it's an unsettling time the first trimester. Poe is entirely right. You don't have any outward signs that you're pregnant. Your whole world is suddenly kind of turned inwards on yourself. So you're kind of constantly listening out for and sort of seeking out for signs that everything's well. And there is literally no way you can tell until the morning sickness kicks in, if it does. That's pretty much the only signal you get that there's something going on. That and just being more tired than you've ever been in your life. Sort of gradually other kinds of, sort of discomfort or sort of physical sensations start to come in, but it's such a kind of internal experience that actually having that, you know, as a conversation with a doctor or a consultant, if they're good and helpful, not on the NHS, will be reassuring. You know, particularly in an era where you actually had adequate medical support in pregnancy. It's someone to turn to who knows these things and who's seen it all before and who is confident and can tell you what is normal. The number of conversations I had with my midwife where I was like, this thing's happening and this thing's happening. Sorry, I keep looking away from the microphone. You know, I would you know, go to appointments and say, well, this is happening, like, what is this? And, oh, that's perfectly normal. Well, this is happening. Is this? Yeah, that's perfectly normal. But what's about? Yeah. And you want someone who's been through it before or who's seen it thousands of times before to tell you it's okay, particularly as a first-time mother, because you haven't been through the whole experience before. You don't know what each stage feels like. And it's so new and it's so important as well. It's not like, oh, I've got a sort of crick in my neck, you know, that doesn't feel quite right. Yeah, I'll probably ignore it for a few weeks. I'm sure it'll go away. It's, oh, I've got a slight twinge down my left side. Could that be something related to the baby? Is the baby okay?
Yeah.
And Papa Horror Show was filming her blockbuster series while I was pregnant. And one of the days he'd bookmarked for filming, we ended up going to hospital instead because I thought something was wrong. Nothing was wrong. The nurse then thought that Papa Horror Show was my mother, not my wife. So that was fun.
As I say, folks, I am very haggard. You see my videos. I am the crypt keeper. It's my go-to at the moment. But, yes.
So yeah, I think she went to the doctor. I don't think she was thinking about whether or not she'd be perceived to be insane. She was just seeking the last person she could, person she'd felt safe with.
We are relying on a certain amount of horror movie logic, though, that she did need to do that absolute spiel in order to convince the doctor to just immediately hand over to Saperstein.
Yeah.
So there's a certain amount of, say it with me, folks, so the movie can happen. But I will allow it. Poe is not wrong that we're stretching things a little bit. Now, should we skip over the PJs question quickly and then get back to it? Or
yeah, I think that's just a different random detail. But I think how did the Castevets convince Guy to help him? Did they convert him to the Church of Satan, or is he just ruthlessly self-serving? That, to me, is interesting. I think we had a bit of a discussion over whether we think he was in on it from the start. Did he want to move there specifically because he was a member of that church? I don't think so. But is he I think they go over for dinner that first time. And Rosemary notices a lot of stuff. She's very observant. She notices, for example, that they previously had paintings on the wall, but they've all been taken down, and you can see the dark shadows on the walls.
Yeah, I've saved it in this screen cap.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this does two purposes. I went back and checked to make sure that you could actually see it. So I think you noted in your review that he has a change of attitude. And I think that's because in the exact moment that I've got on screen, that is when, I'm not saying the offer was made that Roman, and interesting he's sharing the name of the director. I'm not saying Roman came out straight away with everything at that point, but I think this moment where Roman has got guys separated, Minnie has taken Rosemary away, in a scene absolutely loaded with feminist politics. The gentlemen in the smoking room are discussing matters. So how would he be approached? I don't think it comes out with straight, hey, I know this beardy guy, a little horny, but trust me, he's a good guy. He'll sort you out. I think it's more, you're struggling to be an actor, but I see potential. Maybe I could introduce you to some people. But it's not easy. I mean, what are you willing to do, guy? What are you willing to do?
Yeah, Dr. Prepper's actually commented on this scene exactly.
Yeah.
Roman flatters him and says he'll be a successful actor if only he's given the opportunity. So I think the implication is that Roman gradually talks him into it, and I think that feels quite bang on.
Yeah.
Partly because you can sort of see there's clearly a few weeks, months maybe, where Rosemary's getting frustrated with how self-involved Guy is being, and how kind of he's distracted by his career, but how frustrated he is, and someone else he likes gets the part that he really wants, and he's sort of turning away from her a bit because he's just so frustrated by and focused on his career. And then when he is home, he wants to spend lots of time with the neighbours. And so I think you're probably right, is that it's happening gradually over that sort of, it's because it's not straight away. They don't have dinner and then like 2 weeks later or two hours later he's like, right, let's bring Satan in.
Fez is right, it's a seduction.
Yeah.
To take it in a direction that I feel we have to take it in. Oh God, am I going to be shouted down for this? I don't know how I feel about what I'm going to say.
Interesting.
I will note this is coming from a pre-19...
Is this your homosexual reading coming up?
Oh, gay reading. No, not so much. But this is a pre-1977 Roman Polanski. So bearing that in mind, he's chosen, this is set very around Hollywood. He was offered a very different story, and chose alongside Rosemary's Baby, and said, no, actually, Rosemary's Baby is the one I want to do. He personally rewrote it. He didn't involve Gerard Bratch this time. This is all Roman. Is he, a la Kubrick, a la Lynch, giving us a little bit of insider knowledge about Hollywood? A little subtext about what Hollywood does. How can I say? All right, I'm going to give an example here that anyone who knows my Kubrick stuff will be familiar with. Our good friend Kirk Douglas, born Isur Danielovich, when he brutally violated I believe she was 15-year-old actress. I forgot the name.
Natalie Wood.
It was Natalie Wood. That was on the tip of my tongue. I wasn't certain. When he brutally violated a 15-year-old Natalie Wood in a hotel room, he didn't tell her that's what he was going to do.
He didn't tell her mother either. One hopes.
One hopes not. What he said was, after seeing the auditions and having a phone call, he asked her to meet him in a hotel for dinner. He's not going to say, do this and I'll get you parts. Yeah, take my part and I'll get you a brand new one, etc. It's slow, it's gradual, it's pushing the boundaries, you know, until she finds herself in a hotel room with her mother and sister sitting in a car outside. Kirk Douglas, not a great dude.
No, not a great dude at all.
Not a great dude.
Although the mother in that scenario also deserves some scrutiny because I believe she told Natalie Wood off for looking too dishevelled and upset when she came out. So that's nightmare fuel for you all.
Tricky Menthol has done his research. Yes, Downhill Racer was what I was talking about. Yes, the skating movie, the ice skating. Yes,
wow.
As that was apparently a bit of a passion of his, but this spoke to him. So I just wonder if we're getting a little coded message about what's going on in Hollywood.
I think you're probably not wrong. I think that reading is certainly there. There's another reading about media types that is alarmingly obvious throughout the film, and I don't know whether we want to touch that, or if you're ready for your channel to be destroyed, then we could go there. But I think you could certainly get a cogent "this is what Hollywood is like" out of it. You know, that guy wants to succeed, well, what are you prepared to give? And that success comes at the expense of female psychological well-being.
You know, for such a film with so much obvious feminist fuel, this is dealt with very, very lightly by my #1 feminist horror movie book, Men, Women and Chainsaws. And I
3 genders.
It's extremely light touch, sort of very quick mentions of it, and it doesn't dig into Rosemary's Baby at all, which really surprised me because I think that is such meaty subject matter for even your most basic feminist reading. And she doesn't go near it, which I
think is probably to do with the discomfort around Polanski, because it is there is a very clear feminist reading of it. And as I said at the start, he is uncomfortably good at portraying that kind of the experience of the victim, of that, both that sort of altered dream state where she's not sure what's going on, that kind of, while it's happening to her, that sort of dissociation and distortion of reality, that it's too horrific to truly kind of own psychologically. So it, the brain puts it at a distance and kind of distorts what's happening to her. You could even, if you wanted to do a sort of full-on feminist reading, question whether or not she actually sees the devil, and whether the devil is what her brain turns a human being into, because it's more comfortable to believe that an actual demon did that than, say, your husband or your your kindly elderly neighbor, or
you've been passed round to a movie executive.
Yeah,
wouldn't have been the first time it happened in Hollywood.
No, indeed. And then the morning after scene is almost worse than that, where she's just so.
Should I get that up?
Yeah.
This one really struck me. Really struck me. Just she's presented so vulnerably, and this is the paradox of Polanski throughout the movies. I think he writes women's stories incredibly well.
Yeah.
And then he does that thing he does.
Yeah. Male feminists, as Fez says, who would have thought? Yeah, stay away from male feminists.
Many such cases. There's a bit of disagreement in the comments. So Kent, good fan of the channel, lovely to see you live, Kent, saying who is thinking Guy was in beforehand. Now that might be a bit more in the book. I do think in the film what we see is a switcheroo once Roman has a private conversation with him.
Yeah.
So I think that might be a deliberate choice from Polanski there to make it a bit different. But I will go with that's something I need to look at. Vito Spatafore. Yeah. You do wonder.
Antichrist spawned women most affected. I mean, in this case, yes, because she's the one. She's the one who has to carry it.
Yeah. I'm also just going to.
I'm going to cough up a lung in the background.
Bless you. While while waifu's losing a lung, I'll just say for John Goresh, you might find this interesting, asking, isn't this what movies do? Seduce us into an altered state where we'd agree to something we otherwise wouldn't. Effectively, yeah, that is storytelling. That's what you've got to do. You may be interested in a little essay called It Was a Dark and Stormy Night that is in the collection of essays Freud's Worst Nightmare, psychoanalysis, horror movies and psychoanalysis. I think that's the title. But yeah, look that up. I think you would like that essay. It talks about very much this, particularly around how irony and lack of confirmation in horror movies is key to you being able to accept the impossible. And so horror movies in particular have to do it. It's a very good essay and you may enjoy it. Forgive me for I can't remember the author's name. I want to say Crane, but I could be wrong. And there was a final relevant question from Poe, which I think follows on from our discussion about when Guy is seduced by the cult. And that is why he takes off his pajamas, why he wears pajamas if he's not hiding a witch's mark. My theory is that he is not a full member of the cult. He's an absolute dupe. And we've got some supporting evidence in the fact that he doesn't have the full mark. Maybe his initiation isn't complete, but I think he's clearly being used by them, and his name is a bit of a clue. Joe, if you are here, this is for you. I know you love this kind of analysis. Both parts of his name refer to things that can be burned. So Guy, your sacrificial guy on the bonfire, and a woodhouse. A woodhouse could be burned. All sorts of rituals would have you burn down the building. Think of your midsummer, yeah, as part of a ritual. So both parts of his name refer to something that can be burned up in a ritual. Indicates to me that he is kind of a sacrifice. He's kind of a dupe. The cult will get rid of him when they don't need him anymore. So that is my guess. But yeah, good questions to take it from.
And interesting kind of angles to look at it. I really like Poe's point about the sort of structure of the film follows essentially that experience of pregnancy.
It puts you in a head. I mean, the constant refrain, well, the major refrain in the sort of mid to late section is like, there's so much in there about just the total loss of autonomy, which, I mean, you should probably be speaking on this, but you become so dependent for reassurance on like, my leg is, oh, I've stubbed my toe, is the baby okay?
Yeah.
To, just simple things you no longer can do, and you just have to get someone else to do, whether it's physically you cannot do it because there is a huge sack of baby on your frontage.
On the frontage.
Yeah, exactly. Parked on your front lawn, on your driveway.
My driveway, all right.
Yeah. And,
I heard what you said about my driveway.
Deep lore. Long since forgotten, one hopes. But,
Kent is approving of your Scandinavian broadly accent.
Oh, thank you, Kent. Kom igen. So Kent's not Swedish, but
I'm sure
I'm pleased. Thank you. That's lovely. So yeah,
it's Fran, another pregnant woman in Dawn of the Dead.
Yes, she. I can't remember who plays her actor. Her boyfriend. But yeah, he has to. It's a very progressive couple, and he has to take her out of it.
Ooh.
It's grim. She gives birth to a baby zombie.
Ooh.
Well, hey, I mean, that does sort of move us into an interesting area.
I mean, I've been a thought has now almost possibly gone into my head.
Please go ahead.
Around what you physically can and can't do. I think So John Gross is saying here that Fran was pretty sporty at End of Dawn of the Dead. Zombies chasing your ass is probably a good motivator. Yes and no. There's truly a physical limit to what you actually can do. I think in the right circumstances, as you say, with the right motivation, you probably can make yourself move at a fairly speedy lick. But that's not going to be, particularly in the very later stages of pregnancy, when, brace yourself, audience, we're getting more female anatomy going on here. In the later stages of pregnancy, the last few weeks, the baby's head engages, so it drops further down inside the uterus and basically sits inside the pelvis, getting ready to, like, it's the head dropping down onto the cervix is what triggers labor to start, because it starts to release that pressure causes hormones to release that then tell the body that the baby's ready to be born. If that doesn't happen, or if the NHS in its infinite wisdom decides you need an induction instead, then Lord help you, don't have one.
If they decide you need an induction, are you kidding me? They offer you that before they offer you a seat.
They offer you that at your 12-week appointment. Anyway, so you will find that the baby's head is basically sitting right in your hips, making it very, very hard to move your legs normally. If anyone's seen the 2015, 2016, 17 adaptation of The Night Watchman.
Oh, yeah. Night Watchman.
Night Watchman, starring Tom Hiddleston. They gender swapped the main spymaster character so that she was played by the wonderful Olivia Colman. Normally, I would object to the gender swapping, but Olivia Colman can do basically no wrong.
We'll allow it.
And she was pregnant at the time. She herself, the actual woman, was pregnant at the time of filming it. And apparently, in various scenes, Hugh Laurie, who was directing, said, look, could you try to waddle a bit less? Because it's a bit distracting. He was like, I physically cannot walk normally anymore. This is where the baby is. So the waddle, which, bless me, Farrow for trying, it's that kind of physical impairment and that physical dependency is, you can't really get around it. To a certain extent, there is nothing you can do. You are so helpless. And therefore, if you're on your own, you're buggered. Speaking of,
oh,
little horror show has woken up.
There's a little stirring. Is she going back to sleep? Is she just stretching? Chat, you're gonna have to bear with us here. We are both glued to the screen. Little horror show is there. No one else can get our attention.
Looks like she's gone back to sleep.
Bless her little cotton socks.
It would be kind of adorable if you could hear her little voice on stream going, "Duddle," which is what she says when she wants a cuddle. But it looks like she's gone back to sleep, so we might be okay.
Oh, bless her little Pippa.
Anyway,
yes.
To go back to the pregnancy thing, and I think you were about to go off down a totally different route, and I was just giving everyone an anatomy lesson. But I think you're absolutely right, that physical helplessness, that loss of autonomy. You realize how much you rely on your partner, and that you hope you have a good partner in the last few stages of pregnancy, in the early stages of motherhood, and proper horror show done good. She nailed the brief. But if, for example, your partner is a Satanist bastard who sold your baby to devil worshippers, it's less ideal, because you need that support, and you need the safety. You need to know that the person you're with will hold you, metaphorically, emotionally, and physically. And you really feel for Rosemary that she thought she had that. She thought she had a strong, stable, trustworthy, loving relationship. And he just sold her body, and more importantly, sold her child, the child she so desperately wanted, to further his own ends. He's the real monster. Never mind the Jewish cabal in the the Satanists in the
media cabal.
The media cabal. Sorry.
We will get on to that.
The coding is so there. I'm not making it up. Well,
here we go. Like her vulnerability. It's things like this moment, which we've had on screen for a long time. It's just one of those moments that captures vulnerability, where she's like, this was super wrong. I was violated, but can I say something?
And then
Or
the husband comes out with this brilliant, like, she's there reeling from realizing feeling like something horrendous has happened. Like, she, as far as she knows, sorry, in the previous scene that's just gone off the screen, she wakes up and is like, oh, we were going to have sex and make a baby, and then I passed out. And he's like, oh, I had a go anyway. It was kind of hot in a necrophiliac sort of way. And she's understandably appalled by that. And she's like, I mean, it didn't have to be that minute. But she doesn't know if she can object, because the culture of the time was very much that wasn't considered wrong. Let's all remember that up until the 90s, the laws were questionable around what happens within a marriage. But thankfully, the film, again, with Polanski's understanding of the victim experience, you don't think Guy's a good guy for doing that or for saying that. You think he's creepy.
No, the film gives you quite a long moment to soak it in, and without her getting on a soapbox and delivering a kick-ass Tumblr takedown, you are just left to interpret it yourself and just empathize with her, how wrong it is. Like, the film is full of so many beautiful moments like this. A lesser film would have cut this scene out, but it felt so authentic. So this one, where she just insists on a party and then finally gets a chance to be on her own with girlfriends, people outside the cult. And it's just, it felt so authentic, just so real.
Yeah. And also the sort of emotional instability there. She's got very justifiable reasons for breaking down in tears. She's in a lot of pain and discomfort, and she's not being supported. But you do get very emotional at the drop of a hat when you're pregnant. But it's yeah, I think it's just, she's done, her character is written so well, and she portrays her so well.
I have a very trivial point. John Gars mentioned way back then, we commented on that zombies chasing your ass is probably a good motivator. And our friend Kent said, a great concept for a workout routine. Folks, I would be remiss on this stream if I did not haul us all the way back to these chats to tell you that there is, in fact, a zombie chase simulator exercise program. It was called Zombies Run. You could listen to it as just like an audio thing, and it would tell you when to leg it from zombies, and you'd be someone on a mission following instructions. But if zombies were around, you'd have to leg it. It would give you little interval workouts.
Yeah, I never tried it. I suspect the creator was fairly SJW, given the people I knew who were into the app. But I think it's...
I had to mention it, folks, since it came up, since it did come up. Yeah, yes. Oh,
I think you can set the speed of your zombies, probably. So if you're a new runner, you can say, please let my zombies stumble. And if you're really working on improving your 5K time, then you can probably ask for some faster zombies.
Daniel Hall making a really good point here. That Rosemary's Baby captures a culture shift of atomization, taking from within the basic unit of the old community, the family.
Taking root from within.
Sorry, taking root. Yes. I mean, this is another really important thing. It's something I feel deserves a whole essay. Not that I will ever get a chance to make it, so just take this in good faith that I would like to. But we'll cover it a little bit here. This is the idea that Rosemary's Baby seems to be one of the things that it's doing is very much charting this sort of 60s death of the old culture. Like the Satanists, are they really Satanists? Like they seem to be just part of a response to the old ways dying. You saw a little bit of this way back in 1956 in Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Now, a lot of people typically interpret that movie as about communism, that is a very easy route to go down. I was quite persuaded by it for a long time. The director, Walter Wanger, said no. And I've come to believe that he's actually being honest, that it really wasn't about the sort of Reds under the bed. It was about something different. You can watch a stream I did with Simon Roberts on this channel about that, but effectively, we took it that it was about the resistance to conformity of tradition. It was a move away from Freud to Reich. So Wilhelm Reich's idea. So it's not the Freudian idea that actually you've got these dangerous impulses that you need to keep under control to avoid tearing things apart, Lisa. But you actually need to, the threat is from constraining yourself. Therefore, you need to be a true individual expressing yourself. It was fear of the suburbs just killing you as an individual. And what you actually need to do is free yourself of convention. That's why the two heroes have recently divorced. They've traveled around the place. The threat is that they will lose their individuality. So following on, and I've already mentioned how that sort of death of the old culture is covered in Philip Kaufman's Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1978. Again, long in-depth video on the channel if you haven't seen it already. This is getting at a lot of the same stuff. Like, where is my magazine? You obvious. Oh, Tasteful Thickness. I adore Vivarium. Vivarium is a fantastic movie. Highly recommended. And a good friend of the channel, Last Things, spoke, I want to say on what's Frodi's festival? Anyway, Last Things talked about Vivarium with Frodi. I should remember Decameron. There you go. Very good conversation they had about it too, but I recommend Vivarium as well. So we are shown...
Is Decameron a Boccaccio reference?
Very likely. Yes. Taken from the story about people huddling up in winter telling it. Yeah.
It's not winter, it's they're escaping from the plague.
Oh, there we go. Apologies. Yes, it's the name of a film analysis festival from some fascinating people whose opinions I admire. They come together and talk films.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're shown this famous, Is God Dead? Time magazine. But we get more. We get the aspects of, obviously, Rosemary talks about she was raised Catholic, but she's not sure. There's doubt over the Pope. Can you imagine that, guys? The Pope being doubted, doing questionable things. Can you believe it?
Oy vey.
There's that, but there's also interesting, like, books you will see. You get a chance to look at quite a few books in this film. We freeze framed on a few of them. Some of them were acting texts, but some of them were more sociological, power of dreaming sort of stuff. In this bookshop, I thought, given that we were shown this, it would be interesting to take a little moment to look at some of the titles here. So Psycho-Cybernetics, Realization of Oneness. These are sort of very of the moment about reconsidering society in totality, reconsidering humanness. This film is really getting to the idea, when they say God is dead, hail Satan, I think what they're saying is like the old culture is dead, the old ways are dead, and something new is in its place, but they don't know what that's going to be. Like, there's this confusion and horror and panic over it. What is the future going to be? But it's definitely not going to be like it was before.
Yes, I don't have much to say on that. Sorry.
No worries. I think it's something that could do with much, much deeper exploration. But it's just, it's in there as a thread in the film, making it a very rich text.
Yes.
Just all these things about, I mean, it's another obvious one. Rosemary's haircut. A clear mark in changing norms, changing culture, changing attitude.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that 40 years previously, even getting a cut to shoulder length was considered shocking. And then, she goes for a full-on pixie cut, which would have been, even for the 60s, the late 60s, would have been very bold. I mean, it works because she's absolutely beautiful. But it's also, I kind of love that the haircut itself in the like her haircut from the film became so iconic. And I remember it being a much bigger deal the first time I watched it. I was sure there was a much bigger deal made between her and Guy about having had her haircut. I also think it's interesting that it happens after the violation scene. That there's the sort of trope of after you have a bad breakup, you go and cut all your hair off. Or after or traumatic experience. I mean, you can see all the extremely progressive women with daddy issues all go and shave their heads. If you're recovering from or dealing with sort of psychological trauma, people often do a Britney. Sorry, I probably shouldn't laugh at a very mentally ill woman. But, that kind of cutting your hair is very symbolic. It's very kind of shedding your old identity. If we were snakes, we'd shed our skin. Instead, we cut our hair. But it's a way of kind of getting rid of your old identity to an extent. I mean, it's also very smart when you're about to have a baby, because babies love to grab long hair and then kind of thrash around with it and sort of it's great for grabbling. So cutting your hair off is probably a sensible move, surely, if you're having a child. But
they are grabblers.
They'll do that. Those chubby little fists, once they figure out what they're for.
Yeah.
That or examining your teeth.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah, the mouth invasion phase. That was a rough one. That was a rough one. Honestly. Yeah, people also wisely tying in, again, that one of the ironies of this film is, it's charting this death of mainstream culture and all sorts of things, filling the void from, Wilhelm Reich to all sorts of self-fulfillment to transhumanism to, the hippie stuff, including that sort of Age of Aquarius idea taken up by the Mansons, who would kill Sharon Tate, Polanski's wife. It is creepy. It is a creepy aspect of this film. I'm just seeing if there is anyone else going with it. I think there was. I'm confused and did not have time to look this up, whether there was actually some more interesting production history to the haircut, like whether that was actually more of a Mia Farrow decision. She was not in the greatest time of that because she'd just been served divorce papers on set by Frank Sinatra.
He's had an interesting life.
Well, maybe the next husband turns out better. I don't know. Oh, wait.
What is it about those Hollywood types and
those Hollywood
inappropriate relationships with children? Although
alleged,
alleged in compelling evidence to suggest that the allegations against Woody Allen may be BS, but smoke and fire.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I do know that when she says, "Oh, Vidal Sassoon cut it," he did that. That's him. What done that haircut, and he did a darn good job.
It would. Yeah, it's probably contractual. They, if you were him, you would be demanding that if they attributed the haircut to you, that you did it.
I suppose so. Yeah.
There was a fun thing that how was it? In Angel, Lila references wearing. Is it Jimmy Choo's or Louboutin?
Louboutin, the one with the red soles.
That's the one.
Louboutin.
Yeah, she mentions wearing Louboutins in the script. You do not see her feet. Sorry, folks. Just saving you a Google. But because she had named them, Louboutin insisted that she wear them in the scene, even though they are not on camera. Brand protection.
Really specific.
There's some absolutely useless trivia for you. It may be an entirely meta decision, but it does fit the film so incredibly well.
Yes.
That she has that trauma response that, past as fashion, realistically, desperation.
Yeah, trying to create an identity for herself. Because that's the other thing that I found interesting, is she's so infantilized and also infantile.
Very infantile, yeah. She's made very childlike in the early part.
Yeah, and sort of throughout a lot of it. And I mean, I'm going to go off on a tangent. Well, not a tangent, but sit tight. This might take a while. I think that progression, the film also charts her progression from maiden into mother, which is a hugely important transition in any woman's life. And it is so profound. And on a neurological level, you go through... Sorry, we're going to go again down some neuroscience here. When you're pregnant or you give birth, you undergo a process of synaptic pruning, where the brain just en masse basically deletes stuff you don't need anymore to make way for all the new neurological connections and pathways you need to form and able to be able to care adequately and well for your new baby. So you literally, the process of pregnancy and birth turns you from one person into essentially a totally different person. And I think the film charts that a bit, but really only in the last 20 minutes or so. You see her at the start, she's very much the maiden, she's young, she's girlish, she's presented in such a childlike way. A lot of her clothing is very kind of childlike. Pigtails, sort of schoolgirly clothing. And it helps that she's absolutely tiny, so she looks diminutive. And then she gets pregnant. She has the haircut, which is a big, significant shift. That's a stake, a sort of a claim she's staking to be the author of her own identity and be her own sort of destiny, really. And I think the haircut is about saying, you know, this is who I am. I'm someone different. I'm not this kind of childlike creature anymore. I'm becoming someone else. And then, you know, we get through the rest of the film and we sort of see her becoming, you know, completely absorbed in her pregnancy, as you naturally are. And then the birth happens. And again, that was another one of those moments where I was like, he on some level, he gets it. She's listless. She's, you know, depressed, believing her baby is dead. And then she hears somewhere in the building, she hears a baby crying, and you can see something in her wakes up. You know, where's that baby crying? Where is it? And I mean, I recognize that sort of experience, that moment of you hear your baby's cry and you just, something in you switches on.
Well, you will wake up before Little Horror Show does.
Yeah. Benefits of co-sleeping. Yeah, you are supremely attuned. And again, it's the sort of all the stuff going on in your brain. But it's this kind of, the cry from your child just is a lightning bolt through you, that you instinctively, you need to be with that baby. You need to be caring for it. And you see that she doesn't, she knows they're lying to her. She knows it somewhere. You see that she's clearly been given a breast pump, so she's being sort of expected to pump milk. And she's possibly been told that's just to prevent engorgement, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, she wants to find it, and she literally tears apart a cupboard to go and see the baby. And she finds her way into their flat. She finds the baby and is, you know, she's horrified by what she sees. But you can see in that scene, yes, other people are talking to her. Someone sort of takes her and sits her down and gives her a cup of, you know, strengthening tea or whatever. But her attention is completely focused on the crib. I mean, I want to now rewatch it, but I don't think she really looks away from the crib. All her energy is focused on that baby. And she's got that intuition that she knows why the baby's crying. You're rocking him too fast. He doesn't like it. He's not comfortable. And I think that is a really important moment as well, that it's the film, she is Adrian's mother. She can't not be. You know, she carried him, she gave birth to him. And that moment where she steps forward and puts her hand on the cradle and kind of accepts that role is, I think all mothers will recognize it, hopefully for the vast majority of us, not in a very negative, my baby is an actual monster way, but in a very positive, this is my child, this is who I am now. Your identity becomes subsumed in your child. And that's a really wonderful thing. And I think the film charts that, and obviously it uses it for horror, that she's been through this trauma, she's been through this horrific experience, she's birthed the Antichrist, which means, we're in for a bad time globally. But look at her in this scene. This is when she's stepped forward and she's put her hand on the cradle. She's at peace. This is who she's meant to be. She is his mother.
Well said. Well said.
People should have babies.
Indeed. I can't add much. My only addition to that, which I think is very well said, is on a trivial filmmaking point, the maiden to mother transition is color coded. So just have a watch on your next rewatch. Yellow, entirely linked to innocence and happiness throughout the movie. And then she's given red roses throughout the flat. Red, classic blood, indication of the upcoming nuptials. In fact, when she's carried off to be taken by the devil, she's in a red pajamas, carried off like a bride. She's going to be wed to the devil, blah, easy symbolism. And after that, the yellow is very absent, coming in only intermittently until she switches over to blue for motherhood. That sort of covers a transition. So nice bit of colour work there. We like it. I suppose moving it trivially into the horror discussion realm, one of the most significant choices is about what we see and what we don't see. Poe mentioned the dream sequence is fantastic, which gives us the greatest amount of sort of sighting of the devil that we see. There's a lot of talk about this film about Anton LaVey and his media type and his involvement in the film. All accounts, as I can tell, are he was talking nonsense. He did not play the devil in this film, even though it's a very good story. There was a stand-in guy by the name of Gray who did the actual puppeted handwork. I'll try and show you the made-up devil effects for this, but unfortunately they're covered in nudity, and I can't get my picture of the Britisher out quick enough. We get a close-up on the devil's eyes, which we'll see later, and that's about as much as you see. The move here is to very cleverly undersell, not show you too much, let your imagination do most of it. And then brilliantly, when you see the end, you can work out lots of stuff about what might have actually been happening, because the things in the dream sequence are filtered. I think we probably won't go into them now because we don't want to overrun.
But yeah, it's things like she sees the Sistine Chapel ceiling paintings and various other bits of artwork, and has a sensation of being kind of carried through corridors, and you realise that, I don't know, I couldn't quite place where the Sistine Chapel came in, other than the obvious Catholic symbolism, but the corridors are, she's actually being carried through this sort of secret connecting passageway into her neighbour's flat. She sees a city on fire at one point, and obviously you can see she's realising that it's that painting.
You get a brief shot of a pattern, which you may remember from being on shelves that she installs in the cupboard. So if you notice that, you realise, oh, she's been carried through the cupboard. But also, she sees herself as being on a boat. Why?
Because she's being carried and bobbled around.
Exactly. She's drugged out of her mind and being carried. So it feels, she is on her back and she's very unsteady, as if she were at sea. It's great stuff. Honestly, wonderful time going through that dream sequence, picking apart what might actually be happening. She does, for instance, see, she sees a stern, bearded figure looking over her. It's almost certainly this portrait was put back up, because the burning cathedral portrait had been put back up too. There you go. Yeah, really, really good fun. Look through that dream sequence, look at the end, and see what you can pick out. But
Thank you, Jesus in Spandex, for explaining that the Sistine Chapel comes from Ira Levin's book. In the book, Rosemary reads an article about the Sistine Chapel being renovated, and then it pops up during her nightmare.
Jesus and Spandex, thank you. Very informative. I wish I got to read the book. I have not, I'm afraid.
I like Ira Levin.
Yes. You. What's that mystery?
A Kiss Before Dying. A Kiss Before Dying.
There you go.
Yes.
Recommended waifu.
Yes.
There you go. You got the waifu recommendation for Ira Levin's A Kiss Before Dying as well. But thank you for that detail. I was going to talk about the technique of what they show, what they don't show, and how they're restrained. And I think this is another of the greatest decisions. What she sees in the dream may or may not have happened, and that is wonderful, because we can't say for definite that is the devil, or is that just what she thinks the devil looks like?
Yeah.
Great choice. We famously never see Adrian.
I thought we did right at the end. You see just his grinning eyes.
Nope.
I could have sworn we did.
You get a brief bit where she's screaming and she has a flashback, but it's the same footage from the boat.
Oh, I thought that was the baby.
Nope. But I was curious, because I know that this got remade in 2014 as a 2-part, 4-hour miniseries starring Zoe Saldana.
No.
Now, what did Rosemary's Baby Daddy do? I apologise. Jason Isaac as well.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Do you know what's scarier than not showing the baby and having her just react and shrieking, "What's wrong with his eyes? What did you do to his eyes?" Showing the baby, and it's just a mixed race baby that changes its eyes to blue, and it's a cutie.
Genuinely?
Yeah. They show him extensively.
Oh.
And it's just, she still freaks out and says, "What's wrong with his eyes?" And it's just, he's just got blue eyes. And they still say he's got his father's eyes. It makes no sense. It's not scary. It's weird. Why would they do this?
Unless it's a very anti-miscegenation message.
Very, obviously, disavow.
Babe.
But yeah, I had to know. I looked. You can find it on YouTube if you want, folks. Rosemary's Baby 2014 ending. It's got the whole ending scene. It's awful. It is. Why?
It's better than I imagined. I thought you were going to say they had some kind of CGI abomination, but
well, you're torn, aren't you? You know, the 2004 Dawn of the Dead that was referenced. They showed the zombie baby. I thought it looked all right. But, you know, your mileage may vary. Not everyone wants a sort of brain dead baby or dead alive baby if you're American. You know, not everyone wants to see that. The choice to not show, I think, is always going to be the one that pays off, because I think whatever they would have created back then, it wouldn't have been a good look.
To be honest, I think it's a golden rule of horror films is you should show the monster for as little time as possible. No matter what the monster is, no matter how good your CGI or makeup effects are, because the things that the human brain can invent are far more horrific than the things it can create on film. It's like the end of Blair Witch, the 2016. Was it 2016?
2016 was the follow one.
Watching that in the cinema with friends, and for like 95% of the film, I was just like pushing myself back in my seat, being like, "Oh God, this is horrendous. Why are we here? Please let me out. I'm terrified. I don't like it. I want it to stop." And then the last few minutes of the film, you get footage that lingers on the Blair Witch creature. I was like, "Oh, okay. I mean, it's unsettling, but yeah, we can live with that." And it rather deflates a lot of the tension. Not enough that when we came out and saw that they'd put corn dollies up like down the stairs of the cinema, that did freak me out again. But in the film itself, the more you see the monster, the less powerful it is. And I think that rule applies here. I think I thought that the eyes were, I thought that was us seeing into the crib. So it's that changes my perception of it. But not seeing much of it or not seeing it at all, I think is very a clever choice.
Yes, nice restrained one. I'm not surprised, John Garris, that Larry Cohen
I
did a
thought you were
slightly
talking
less
about Leonard Cohen, and I was very confused. So that was a trippy few minutes.
no,
Sorry.
Larry Cohen of It's Alive and Q the Winged Serpent. If you ever see him, he looks identical to Trump, as in absolute dead ringer. It's scary. Amazing stuff. You've also got The Visitor is another one that did the story in far later. House of the Devil gave it a good go. A film we talked about, and I think I scored harshly. I was talked down by a guest, but I think I would since sneakily upgrade because I really enjoy that movie, even if it does cheat terribly.
Is that the one with the babysitters?
It is,
in the
yeah.
middle of nowhere that I argued with Mitch about.
Yeah, that's the one. Yes, a long discussion over whether women had different experiences of being able to say no, and whether that was the point of the movie.
It was almost like it was the point of the film.
But anyway,
Sorry.
yeah, excellent decision.
Oh, what have I done?
Kindly do not kick the computer. It may cause a problem. Folks, I hope you're enjoying that noise. Hopefully we'll be okay. People also mentioned The Omen, which I'm always happy to see mentioned on this channel. I will just say that The Omen famously also, I think, maybe took the lead from this. Richard Donner decided to basically never show the devil in that series. The closest you get is some artwork of him in, I believe, the intro to the final. No, sorry, it's Damien Omen 2 is where you see the artwork in the Ruins of Megiddo, which give you a little portrayal of him looking a little bit devilish, but otherwise it's sort of jackal skeletons and statuary kept in very dark rooms that Sam Neill is looking at. But you have the devil kept off screen in the Omen series, and I think they may have taken the lead here. It's this or it's Devil Rides Out. And I think they've decided, we'll lean with not showing it. Thank you, Daniel Hall. Yeah, House of the Devil. I would say the first act is very, very slow build up, very slow. That second act, absolutely wonderful. It's just, yes, how you avoid the protagonist being, killed when she really should be. That's where the film does cheat rather terribly. And yeah, we missed Ty West making good horror movies. I don't know where it went wrong.
What has Ty West made recently?
Nothing I've seen recently. He had a little cameo in a movie called You're Next, which I have mixed feelings about, and he was roped in to do a fairly pointless remake of Cabin Fever.
Okay.
Eli Roth's Cabin Fever, one of the close to unchanged, so I gather, but one of the notable things being it was quite sanitized. So there's a brilliant joke that I cannot repeat because it uses a particular word. But I think people will remember it's a funny moment in a shop with an old chap with a rifle being asked about what he has that rifle for.
Ooh.
They removed that, even though it's a really funny joke, with a great payoff. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Triple X, Maxine and Pearl. I have them. I have not watched them yet. I know Poe likes them, so maybe he's returned to quality. I would hope so. He showed talent, but many a director gets sucked into the system.
The computer stopped making its ominous noise now, so maybe we've got away with me kicking it.
We're all a bit more relieved, aren't we?
Yes, I've literally just been on the edge of my seat waiting for that to stop.
Should we risk something else?
Okay.
Well, there is some other subtext in this movie that we've alluded to.
Oh, so you want to end your channel?
I am, I'm a sensitive channel. I'm not pushing any kind of particular point of view here. But, I unashamedly note that the Tenant, not so much Repulsion. Certainly the Repulsion carried a bit of Polanski's, French influence and being an outsider into, transposed onto Catherine Deneuve in London. In The Tenant, it's much more explicit, and he coded a lot of sort of Jewish perspective, his own perspective, given that he literally plays the character in The Tenant. And yeah, he was coding a Jewish perspective into that film, and I talked about that quite at length in the stream I did on it. Now, weirdly in this, obviously, Ira Levin, you don't even need Wikipedia. He's got source material that may have that influence. I've not read enough of Levin's stuff to comment whether that's a persistent theme for him. But for Polanski, putting that perspective in is. And weirdly, in Rosemary's Baby, it's kind of hard to escape that he has coded our satanic witches as Jewish. Now, we're not going to accuse him of anything in addition to the things we've already accused him of, because, that is his background, but it is a startling choice now. You may doubt us. You may think, we've taken one too many crazy pills, watching one too many streams from channels that can't be allowed on YouTube. But some of the stuff in here, it's quite an overlap.
They specifically, for example, reference the blood libel.
Yeah, very much so.
There are obviously that's sort of a common trope within sort of dark satanic rituals, time out of mind, but the terminology used in the book that Rosemary finds, it very specifically evokes those sorts of fairly horrific slurs, one might say, against that community.
Canards, I believe, wouldn't it say?
Canards, I believe. And it is inescapable that particularly Minnie, for example, is so heavily coded Jewish. She's a sort of like her accent is that sort of thick New York Jewish way about her. Like her sort of dress and mannerisms are so kind of deeply of that era and that community. Roman, her husband, like as you said, he's named for Roman Polanski. They share a name. There's a parallel there that's unavoidable.
He also has connections to Hollywood. I mean, a lot of literal Hollywood types, wink, wink, in this room. Lots of doctors in this room. I mean, Saperstein.
He's a doctor.
He doesn't need to be called Saperstein. Could have been anything, but they went with Saperstein. I think you obviously do get people who are not obviously Jewish in the cult. There is a Japanese guy who is...
Daniel Hall has made a very... Sorry, interrupt.
Yeah. There's a Japanese guy who's there taking photos. I'm thinking there was another thing we saw. Oh, they went out of their way to reference Sammy Davis Jr., who famously, he's a black guy, but he converted to Judaism. Like, all these connections were made in the film very deliberately. Also, Roman, what's one of the first things he says to them? I've been everywhere. Name a place. I've been there. Very international, you might say. So that's in there. I'm just going to read Daniel Hall's comment. Is Polanski subverting an old Jewish trope of Jews taking children and babies for dark rituals? Well, is he subverting it or not? I mean, he's directly referencing it, and they are doing it. Is it the idea that he's made it ridiculous?
Well, that I suppose it's the idea that he's taking it, and actually the people doing the dark rituals are Satan worshipping Catholics. Maybe we are just deeply broken people and we're horribly prejudiced, and so therefore we see Jewish conspiracies where actually we're supposed to see Catholic conspiracies. I don't know. It just feels like the references are there, even if we're supposed to, on the surface, see something else.
It's not as clear as it is in The Tenant what he is doing here. However, I would suggest, not just because I don't want, shouldn't reach out when I do this bit. Not just because I want to keep my YouTube channel, but I would say that Polanski does write with a certain opacity, and his purposes in here may be that he is enjoying subverting it, because whilst he's doing this, as he did in The Ninth Gate, as he did in The Tenant, he mixes comedy in with his horror. If you can hold the thought for 1 second, I'm going to get that book because I need that reference.
Okay.
Because I think this is key.
So I need to try and fill some dead air and drop of a hat. Well, good luck. Let's hope I don't say anything that completely tanks the channel. And hopefully I'm also not speaking loud enough to wake the baby, who is actually a toddler, which feels odd because I swear she was only born last week, but there we go. Anyway, stream of consciousness is over. Proper horror show is back in the room.
Doesn't feel right calling her a toddler. She's my little bubba.
Yeah, it's bad.
Right. So, just confirming, the book is Horror Film and Psychoanalysis, Freud's Worst Nightmare, edited by Stephen J. Schneider. And the essay you want is Jonathan L. Crane, It Was a Dark and Stormy Night. And I won't read from it, but effectively he charts how irony could be a problem in enjoying horror, especially from a psychoanalytic perspective, but it in fact works because horror fans more than anyone else seem wonderfully able to approach films ironically, that horror films and horror series can flip between serious and ridiculous back and forth without it affecting the audience. The moment he kicks off his analysis with is from The Thing. And it's that moment where the head rolls off the body, oh dear, rolls off the body, sprouts spider legs, and then scuttles off. And Kurt Russell looks at the camera and says, "You gotta be flipping kidding me." Oh, we may have
a code woggle.
We may. We're going to give this a second. I'm not going to wax too lyrical about The Thing, but it is a moment that sort of acknowledges the ridiculousness of the situation in order to keep you still emotionally involved. And I think I go a bit further than the author, Jonathan L. Crane, and I would say that actually the comedy irony is a way of letting you drop your defenses. John Gross, was it not Kurt Russell? I was sure it was him. I was sure he would take that line. I'll trust you on that one. I don't know. Are we getting away with this one?
It's so hard to tell.
Ooh.
You keep talking.
Ooh. Anyway, so what I'm trying to get to is that Polanski is loading this film particularly with comedy and irony. So, this is some extremely dark subject matter. Satanists have kidnapped her baby, made her think that it died, and are planning awful, awful things. But the people doing it are dressed like this when we meet them. Roman has a fabulous pimp cane. His wife, Minnie, is dressed like she is an African lady going to church. These are not exactly a sinister threat. When they are at this meeting, where are we? Here we go. I mean, just look at them. They're old biddies going around, pleasant dresses. They're given a cup of tea.
Their normality is the creepiest thing.
Yeah. Lara Louise sort of shakes the cot, and then when she's shooed away, she sticks her tongue out. It's childish. It is an undercutting. I also say that the Zoe Saldana version They were wearing the spooky black.
Oh.
Very serious business. This one, there is an element of irony to it. So, was Polanski trying to take those tropes and make them ridiculous? Like saying, hey, this is the boogeyman you talk about, right? This is the big, scary Jewish boogeyman. Woo. Here's all the tropes in this one scenario, whilst also making it look ridiculous.
I think that could be part of it.
Maybe.
Or that there's an element of the banality of evil going on.
Yeah.
That these people are deeply sinister, creepy, unsettling. They are in touch with dark forces that allow them to control life and death. And yet, one of them is an atrocious cook. They've got no dress sense, and they're living a kind of boring middle-class lifestyle, possibly going on a cruise to Dubrovnik at one point, which actually is worth a visit. But anyway, I think there's a bit of both. I think there's probably something in that he's not in the world of the story, in the world of the film. They're explicitly not Jewish. I think that's worth sort of bearing in mind that they're not being presented as. But I think the coding is so.
The coding is intense.
Yeah.
And not accidental.
It's like the mum/aunt in Sleepaway Camp.
What a reference!
It's very heavily coded as a drag queen, but is actually a woman.
Very, very weird and distracting choice in that film. Very weird. So yeah, Polanski is doing something there. Have we unpicked it? I'm not
To be fair,
sure.
Tricky Menthol, I don't think the Japanese fellow is coded as Jewish, but he is such a stereotype, just there with his camera the whole time.
Yeah, he is very much a stereotype. Bless him. Bless his heart. I did love how she spat on Guy in this scene.
Yes, we all wanted to. It was very cathartic.
Interesting comment here from Daniel Hall. Sam Berkowitz once said from prison that the particular thing about New York City Satanists was that they weren't New Agey occultist dark hippies. They were people from the respectable social classes. Interesting.
Which is probably also a fair comment on the sort of the contrast between the sort of movie version of the world that we all live in, and that you look at, say, political discourse on Twitter, no matter what side of the fence you're on, and it's this sort of very dramatic, black and white view of the world, that people are all one thing or all another thing, and they're like that sort of evil and badness is really obvious. I don't know where I'm going with this. Whereas actually, I think in real life, you know what I mean? There's a huge difference between the way the world is presented and the way that the stories we tell ourselves and the stories we tell each other want us to see people in terms of just the archetypes. And actually, what's more scary is the reality that actually people who are capable of immense evil or have immensely horrific things are also the same people that you'd meet in the co-op or on the way to church or, walking their foxhound.
Or being appointed to the top of the civil service.
Yeah, they're just normal people. They're just innocent men. They're just normal men.
What do you mean?
They're just normal men.
Sorry. Just innocent men.
Just innocent men.
Terrible.
But they are. It's that, again, I think it is that.
Prosecuted, so technically, yes.
I think it is, but it is that sort of, again, the where's that from? The banality of evil.
It's Hannah Arendt.
Is it a reference to the Holocaust?
It is. It's Eichmann, yeah. Upon captioning, but yeah, it's how that was her depiction of it. But I think back to other studies or dramatizations. You could go back to the first season of the Lovecraft Mysteries, and their sort of look at the case of Charles Next Ward, but they filtered in lots of stuff about how the occult at the time it was a lot of bored well-to-do people in a certain milieu. This is how you got your outlet for sort of filthy soirees would be your filthy
Filthy
soiree would, have a sort of dash of occult garnish to it. It'd be Febrezed by Satan. Or we can actually, let's go back to a Polanski that we covered about 2 weeks ago, The Ninth Gate. We made a point of saying that the big sort of eyes wide shut looking Satanist party was really just posers
Yeah.
and people turning up for an orgy.
And as John Gorris has said, your Starbucks barista makes a gleeful TikTok celebrating murder. Well, indeed.
And your taxi driver, well, let's not talk about what your taxi driver and his other taxi driver friends get up to. As we learned in about, 51 cities around the UK. Yes, banality of evil indeed. That was, I think, about the last thing I had to cover in Murgoot. Thank you, the Hellfire Club. That is exactly what I was thinking of, and I couldn't get the name for it. Thank you. That's the one. The sort of bored socialite Satanists. Yeah, that's the name I was trying to reach for. That was about all the points I had on Polanski and horror and Rosemary's Baby for this. I mean,
I've waxed lyrical about pregnancy and motherhood. I think I've said my piece. She doesn't do a good waddle, but she does a good job everywhere else, and I love the haircut. Yeah.
As for the impact on it, we've talked a little bit about the 2014 miniseries, not particularly kindly. I restrain myself because I've only watched the ending, but Christ, if you bungle that, I don't have much hope for the rest of it, I will say. It did get a couple of sequels, non-author approved one called Whatever Happened to Rosemary's Baby.
No.
And his own approved one, Son of Rosemary, which I think also doesn't seem to be held in particularly high regard. It goes into quite an apocalyptic scenario and then resets.
I think it feels like a weird one for Levin to write, because he's so... the few things of his I've read or come across adaptations of are so focused on sort of human dynamics and human interactions and the sort of subtle nastiness under the surface, that going down an apocalyptic route just doesn't feel like it suits that sort of eye for nasty human detail.
One imagines it was a bit of a...
Go on, mate. Go on.
Cash in, basically.
Yeah.
It's sort of hard to blame an author when so many people publish books that don't go anywhere, and like your passion project won't take off.
Yeah.
But you've got one thing that made it, I can't blame them for taking the money.
Yeah.
I can't blame them. But yes, now one interesting property that came out only last year, in addition to the Rosemary's Baby story, is that it did get a prequel, Apartment 7A. Looking into the... It builds itself much more on the fate of the woman who lived in the flat previously. And where is she? Let's get her back up on here. Where's Terry? Yes. On what happens to her. I haven't seen it, can't comment. Don't have a huge interest in it.
No.
To be honest.
It works brilliantly as a standalone. I feel like any other kind of approach to it doesn't feel necessary.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's excellent. I'd give it a go, but I'd be ready to drop it, to be honest. It seems very inessential. And Terry's story here is pretty set. She is set to be, as I understand it, and I assume you have this reading, she is set to be the carrier for the baby. And then they see pretty blonde young Rosemary come up, and I no, that one.
Yeah. Or she was
swap her out.
resistant to them in some way, or otherwise was deemed inadequate in comparison. My impression was also, because I think you hear her arguing through the walls with them. You don't really hear what's said, but you hear that there's clearly some sort of conflict. So my guess would be that they maybe try to get her to agree to do it consciously, and she refuses, so they kill her and then turn to Rosemary, who's next in line and convenient in the building. So then they have to seduce the husband, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Would be my reading. So there's an element of the sort of machinations of, again, they're just using women's bodies for their own ends. Again, male feminists, who'd have thought?
Well, yeah. Well, that I think probably rounds off. Oh, the only other thing, sorry, we didn't say, just a quick one. Noticed it at the start. Lumineck, William Castle. Far classier than anything else I would expect William Castle to be associated with. If that's confusing to you, think of House on Haunted Hill, which was his. And you may also think of House on Haunted Hill because that is where we will have seen this guy who you mentioned at the start of the stream.
What a callback.
Thank you. That's Elisha Cook. We know him from House on Haunted Hill, and we also know him best from Stanley Kubrick's The Killing. He's a guy who gets cucked in that.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, there we go.
He has a brutal case of cuck rage at the end and sort of kicks things into chaos.
Excellent.
Yes. And fabulous music.
Yes.
I could not let this discussion of Rosemary's Baby go without absolutely praising the wonderful music that was in it. The lullaby, brilliant. All right. Well, if you didn't have anything else to say, I think we have had a very timely, efficient coverage of Rosemary's Baby. Super Nanny, very proud with us clocking in under 2 hours.
Yeah.
You love to see it.
You love to see it. Are we going to do scores on the doors?
Absolutely.
I would say it's probably an 8 and a bit out of 11.
8 and a bit.
As a
Okay.
film,
Okay.
maybe a 9. Maybe a 9 out of 11.
How could we bump that up?
Have it basically the same, but not directed by Polanski. He
That'll do
gets a child abuse modifier. No, well, yeah, no, it's 9 out of 11 is pretty high. I just tend not to give it doesn't have Tony Todd.
No Todd.
No Todd. Can't give it. Maybe I'll push up to a 10.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yes, it's is it out of 12 or out of 11?
Out of 12.
Out of 12, then yes, 10 out of 12.
10, yeah. There's breathing room there.
Yeah, possibly there's ways in which you could not tighten up. I don't think it needs to sort of lose length, but possibly change some of the pacing a little bit. So keep the film the length it is, but just change the pacing, perhaps, IDK. But yes, -1 for Polanski, basically. But otherwise, yeah, loved it.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair ratings. I see a Polanski modifier has been applied already. I'd probably join you in that. It's very strong. Could it have 10 minutes trimmed? Probably, but the trouble is there are so many moments that are just wonderful because they are left to breathe, and they're wonderful for that. So I found it flew by. It always flies by when I watch this. I could do with some slightly nicer gore effects on Terry's death because that is very 1960s Kensington gore.
Yeah.
Sort of sod it, slap a load of red on her, that'll do.
Yeah.
Which is not really his style when he would go into sort of good gore effects, and it seems like he was rushed on that one. But I'm nitpicking here. This is an amazing movie. I think it's strong acting all round. Maybe the only one I would say it's slightly disappointing is Guy, but I don't know if he's just meant to be a bit of an uncompelling chap.
Yeah.
Maybe
tying into the fact that she's seen as quite infantile, so she's hero worships a man who truly doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
And doesn't deserve her. That could be another aspect of it. Again, male feminists.
He's not meant to steal the show. So maybe it works. Maybe it works just fine. I think I land at a strong 10. This film shows restraint where it should and excess where it helps. I'm particularly thinking of Minnie and Roman's wardrobes and performances.
Yes.
Ruth Gordon, fabulous in this. Just wonderful, wonderful. Must be about my 5th or 6th watch, and it flies by every time. So a strong 10 burgers with a little more pickle than I remembered this time, which made it hard to give you screen caps of that dream sequence, let me tell you. -1 for Polanski and -1 for no Tony Todd. No Toddifier. So yeah, and I think we're kind of in line. I'm seeing lots of 10s. I've got a 12 out of 12 Kent. Now, listen here. You know the rules. You know the rules.
And so
No
do I.
Todd. 12 out of 12 or you suck. Yes. I'm sorry. I stick with the Toddifier rule. It's going to happen. Going to happen. Right. Oh, that's interesting. John Graham saying Cassavetes was in conflict with Polanski as he was director himself.
Was that
Yeah.
chap who played Guy?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Makes sense. I mean, Polanski was clearly getting very perfectionist. The production overran because he was doing sort of 50 takes.
Oof.
I know.
Very Kubrick.
Kubrick's looking at him being like, get on my level, scrub.
Those are rookie numbers.
You got to get those up. Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Prepper knows the rules. No Todd, no 12.
I'm trying to remember what comes next in Never Gonna Give You Up. You knew the rules, and so did I.
We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. Full Connections, what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy.
There we go.
I just want to tell you what I'm feeling. Anyway, good times.
Just casual Rickroll. You need to give people the homework.
Horror homework. Okay, we're in a slightly awkward situation here, folks, because I put the poll out to members to ask what you wanted, and we have a short arc before the Halloween specials. We've only got 3, so it's going to be a contracted arc. And I put it up as Cronenberg's, unspecified Cronenberg's, or 2000s era remakes. You were voting very strongly for 2000s era remakes when I confirmed with Murgoot and TCG and set the arc. And then a couple of you voted for Cronenberg's and switched it over.
Oh no.
So I'm afraid I looked at some votes from Georgia, and it turns out that some last minute votes arrived.
Oh really?
And fortified the results. So we will be doing 2000s era remakes, and then in November we'll do Cronenberg's.
Great
So,
democratic fortification.
very, very, very fortified. Thank you. Keep democracy alive. Yes, we shouldn't have got planning that quickly, but we were hyped. Why are we hyped? Because we're going to do House of Wax.
Oh no.
Yes. 2005's House of Wax. You may detect a bit of a sub-theme as we take on our little selection. See what you can do.
Watch that with Little Horror Show asleep on me.
We did.
We watched some weird films in the early days.
Absolutely mental. So, yes, you will get your Cronenbergs in November, but for the rest of October, before the Halloween specials, it's 2000 era remakes, starting with House of Wax. Enjoy. Well, folks, you have had your review of Rosemary's Baby. You've got your horror homework. And at this point, we just want to thank Waifu for coming in, giving us the perspective, which I think is essential for this movie. I don't think you can talk about this movie without having the pregnant perspective.
I hope it was interesting and not too anatomical. I would wax lyrical about motherhood given half the chance. A single woman in possession of a uterus must find A, a husband, and B, have a baby. To mangle Jane Austen. Do it. It's wonderful.
It is wonderful.
As long as you're not having the Antichrist.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if that happens,
Bad luck.
Or a baby with a wrapper. Zombie baby with a wrapper. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
On that weird note.
Always fab to have you on. Thank you, chat. Keeping it lively, keeping it spicy. And I think keeping us on the right side of band. So there we go. I'm really glad if you enjoyed the Polanski arc. Go back, watch all of them. Watch last week's quiz where I torment poor Samson and Harry from the Lotus Eaters. and have yourselves a wonderful Friday and a lovely weekend. Thanks, y'all. Tschüss.